Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Feedback Friday, Art Edition. I'm your host, Jacob. Hello. Am I peaking? Is my audio too loud for once? This is never the problem. It's always too quiet. Why? Okay. Hello. All right. I hopefully am not destroying ears today. Yeah, normally. Okay, I think it is the headset, but like normally it's like not registering this high. Hello. Good morning to you all. Welcome to my stream where I always have some kind of technical difficulty. How's it going? All right. So, today we are doing art, of course. It's going to be a curious one. Uh, I have a little bit of a challenge ahead of myself in terms of kind of design and uh, yeah, I can't really express too deeply what the challenges are, but maybe you'll pick up on it. Also, I have no idea what you're talking about. Ronza cited? I don't know what you're saying about that. No idea. Hello, welcome. Welcome, Traco, Max Ross, Stealth Zero, Kyle Hunt, Mighty Duck. Just singular, though. The whole team ain't there. It's just one Mighty Duck. All right. Sorry, I'm just remembering, like, childhood movies. Okay, we are live. I should probably get things started. Um, so, if you're new here for the art stream, hello, welcome. I'm Jacob, and we are going to be kind of hanging out. I'll be drawing, and should be going for a good while today. Depends on how everything goes together. Usually, I'll draw for several hours, and I might take like a lunch break, take a break in the middle. But I mean, again, with the challenge of what I'm working on today, I have no idea how to, like, what to expect for it. But it should be a very interesting one, I think. And people are requesting some spoilers, and I do suspect there might be some kind of spoiling of some kind. It's kind of hard to avoid in a way. So it's a all right, let's just kind of take a look at what I'm working on. So brace yourselves. All right, so what do we have here? This is probably familiar for a number of players. Might recognize this as the Cannon Storm base, right? This is a limited edition base. Our wonderful friend Nick here is encased in amber, and mid blasting of a cannon mid fire, the cannon fire. Why would I have this on the docket today? You know, LE base. What's up? What's that about? Well, I can't tell you. I don't know. I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. Okay, so we're going to be doing something with this idea. You know, it's not this base exactly necessarily, but I want to kind of like play in this space. The amber is a really cool element, and I'm going to introduce like another element into it, or onto it, or throughout it. And that's kind of where the challenge is for myself. The actual material I want to kind of like combine with this amber idea is, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. I know I'm being extremely vague about this, but yeah, uh, it's it's hard to kind of go into some specifics. I feel at this moment. Okay, so I'm also like working out in my head how I want to go about this because I'm kind and you know this is maybe spoiler territory, but like I'm kind of setting up a little bit of a series, if you will. So I need to kind of like plan a direction, make sure it works for kind of a number of ideas. And I kind of reviewed some of those earlier this morning. And I think I have a concept around how to go about this. Am I being vague enough for you all? All right. So let's actually do a little bit of Wile E. Coyote painting, as I like to refer to it. Uh, so this is the magic of digital painting. I can actually do kind of cool things with my brushes if I kind of work ahead and kind of build off of things that I've already done. And it's more of a revealing of painting than anything. But I kind of want to play with an idea of like encasing something that's already encased with like this kind of elegant frame of some kind, very, very elegant. Uh, some shiny, almost annoyingly reflective surface of some kind. I have no idea what this material could be, though. No clue whatsoever. Um, None at all. But yeah, I'm thinking, we could like do some kind of nice frame kind of idea where we can kind of reveal the original kind of material properties, but then like enhance it with some kind of special coating material or something like that, right? Does that make any sense, I don't know. I think we might have something here though. Yeah, what do you think of this Wile E. Coyote paintbrush that I have that just can paint an entire super elaborate background or like material into existence, I'd say it's pretty fun. All right. So what do you think? Done? Probably done. All right. Great stream, everyone. Um, Thanks for all the feedback and input on the design. Oh, maybe I'll clean that up. And this is really good to have all these ideas in the chat. Very helpful. And uh, yeah. Uh, so uh, it was a long illustration. So the playback for this can be really, quite a long one. I thought you might, Norm. Uh, but yeah, so I want to talk about it, but I also don't want to talk about too much. But I can't, like, avoid the elephant in the room of kind of, well, what's this material that Jacob is kind of putting on top of an LE base? What is going on here? What is that airship doing on the map? This isn't even to do with that, probably, right? No, couldn't be. Um, so how to like I kind of feel like this is actually the direction, right? I can talk to them a little bit. Okay. All right. I got a little bit of permission. So we are perhaps I don't know how much I want to say, but I want to say a lot. So there's some cool bases that exist. And you can't quite get them because you can't get them. But what if we made them even cooler? Hmm? That's about all I need to say, probably, right? And there's more than one of these really cool bases that you can't get and you might want to be even cooler. So, do you think that's enough? Do you think I kind of whet the appetite there? Okay, so the challenge is okay. I'm looking at other ones and thinking around those, and I think if I go in this kind of direction, some of them will be they'll play along. Others are going to be challenging, but at least half of them I think are going to work really well for this kind of application. And then I'll have to figure out the other ones. Yeah. Hmm. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, I like uh, platinum tournament base. Finally, I don't think that's it actually. Unfortunately, as much as it has been kind of want to create. Um, Tournaments are their own little beast that I think we need to kind of do some reworks of things before we can even kind of go into that territory again. Unfortunately, one day though. But no, this is not platinum tournament base. Okay. Oh, that's a good spoiler. I like that. Yeah, yeah. Norm revealed it. He gave it away. This is a base for MouseHunt. I really thought we were going to hold that one longer, but I mean, that's pretty good. That's a good one. Yeah. So I guess, man. Okay, so I'm also trying to think of the other element that comes with these, Norm, right? Like the ingredient kind of concept and how to do that. Uh, might have to do that one off stream. I can't quite think about how I want to handle that just now, especially with it being kind of, a series. Um, Also, I believe this one has like an on-off state, right? Hmm. Oh, I absolutely want to see your awesome dev art for it, please. Please, please. All right. Let's Oh, okay. I mean, that's not actually like that bad at all. The shadow is the only kind of iffy thing about it, really, or the like reflection more so. But like, I think there is something there. Um, it's obvious, and then I imagine we could probably come up with something for each. Yeah. Are you thinking only the one each? Sorry, I'm just having a sidebar with Norm right now. Are we thinking of doing like, you know, more than one, right? What's going? What are they talking about? They're just ignoring us. So rude, these devs. Okay, so okay, yeah, that works. That works. I like it. All right. Well, we could do that right now. Do you think I should do that now, Norm? Like, I mean, it's pretty much done, right? Like, it's perfect art in every way. I don't think I need to touch up any of this. It's pretty perfect. Uh, oh, okay, I see. Okay. So it looks suspiciously queso. We do got the amber. That is the idea. Um, yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad that you like the direction. Yeah. So I think that this is going to work for our plans. So I am glad that we had that kind of chat before the stream to kind of see if this could do it. Um, yeah. Okay. I wonder if there's like an element here I want to kind of include. Is that too busy? Because I'm also thinking of the thumbnail um, of a base, right? They're often this kind of front corner. So making sure there's kind of like some reveal in there is important, right? Okay, I think if I do this, and then I can even alter the engraving to kind of be more stylized to the base. That'll work. Maybe change up some of the battle damage. Yeah, that's good. Okay. I don't know about this little diamond here, actually. Yeah. I kind of don't want to, like, fill in too much. Do we do anything on the top? Or leave that? I think we leave the top. And if I did these corners, that looks cool. However, with the thumbnail, I think that actually kind of removes some of the identity, and I think that's important to convey. We could also potentially kind of erase away, making sure the corner has something to work with for the thumbnail, and then more so use the middle area like that kind of idea. And that could be good too. Kind of like that. Hmm. Hmm. Let me look at the other options. There is a decent amount going on the front of them. So maybe having those be more revealed. So almost doing the opposite what I just did. So like so. Hmm. Keeps it kind of more simplified, which is maybe nice to kind of balance some of the other things that are going to happen with it. Um, it looks like a USB-C port charger now with the that like shape exactly. Yeah. Um. Okay. No, I don't think I want that middle element. Is it weird that it looks like a USB-C charger? Is that an advantage? Do we think that is more fitting? Or do we hate it? Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Nope, looks good. All right. Nice. Don't forget to plug in your base. Maybe it's like a charging kind of like little like battery block kind of idea. Your trap is kind of running low. Make sure to plug it into your base, your portable charging base. Yeah. I mean, it is pretty much the carbonate kind of thing going on, right? Only solidified amber. Okay, so I think I just want to basically choose the framing of this. Decide on kind of like, okay, this is locked in. We're good. And then I can kind of like render it to fit because right now it's kind of like, okay, what's all this weird kind of crunchy bit? That's not actually working well for this. Um, I think maybe having it come up to this element works. But then I'll kind of clean up all the crunchy edge stuff there. Do I include that little hook? Yes. Great. Okay. Does it feel unbalanced with that much on the side and so little on the front? I almost feel like it did feel more balanced before. Yeah, it does feel like a phone case. You're right. That's exactly right. Like, I need kind of like this to be more filled in and have like button cutouts, right? That's pretty funny actually. A little like hole in the very bottom for the cameras. All right. I mean, maybe we bring it in more. And we can change all the detail on the sides. Like keep it a bit thicker, but then clean up all the little kind of nubby bits. Mm. All right. So if I were to, let's try doing something. Like I want to kind of maybe visualize like what would the thumbnail look like? I feel like the thumbnail is important to kind of, knowing what you're equipping. And I'm not worried so much about it kind of like being obvious what the base is now that I'm thinking about it because I think we're going to see a ton of the top of it. I like seeing a little bit on each side, perhaps. We can always kind of zoom it out further. That's probably too zoomed out for a base thumbnail. I think they're usually about yay. So I think that might be all right. Yeah. Okay. I'm not too worried about it now. Okay, so let's just kind of decide on the actual frame shape. Did we like it kind of pulled out more, kind of revealing more of the base behind? Um, there's also the potential of kind of having it be more like sidewall revealed. So that's kind of neat. Could also do a little bit on the surface if we want. But I don't want to go too crazy with that. Because I think when a trap is on top of all this, um, we want to make sure that you can still tell what the base is very easily. Like a lot of traps might end up kind of covering over, like a good amount of the base. Usually it's fairly clear around the cheese. But like the whole back half can often just disappear. Some of the sides. Usually the front is exposed and the area for the cheese. So I think as long as it's obvious what the base is through this kind of a window, we're probably okay. So it's maybe bases cover like upwards of this much, and then you have your like cheese on top. So again, like I think even some block like this much. Like it can be a bit ridiculous, but I'd say this is still kind of revealed enough that it should be fine. But I don't think that these top corners really add anything. And again, looking at other elements, I think I'd prefer to not have much of it on the top surface. It also means that any of the reflection portions will be less kind of annoying to look at, because this material, whatever it might be, appears to be very reflective. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, maybe we even have. Ooh, what if it like actually wrapped like that? That's kind of interesting. Didn't even think of that one. Could do something like that, maybe. Again, like I think the front is actually the best window. Like this part and this part of the base are kind of like the most revealing. So maybe we avoid that. And connect it here. Sorry, today is sort of a Jacob figures it out kind of day. And there's some stuff to figure out. So this could be interesting too. Hmm. How do we like that? Yeah, it's less cell phone-ish like this, and that seems like a loss, really. You don't want it to just look like it's like a cell phone case made of some kind of shiny metal. Sidewalls and surface corners. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I don't know about the middle bit, but I like it connecting somehow. Like maybe that. Oh boy. Maybe a nice thinner piece. Again, I can definitely kind of repaint the actual engraving and filigree kind of stuff, right? The scroll work. Was there any reasoning behind the design of the chrome layers? They seem a bit from the living gardens with all the leafy patterns. So yes, actually, design wise, this material is extremely reflective. It's kind of a mirror surface is the idea. And for something like a base, it's going to be a bit strange if it's just like pure polished mirror and nothing is reflecting on it, right? It's very, very reflective metal. And so by kind of having noise and a lot of kind of different angles, it can get away with a little more not actually being able to reflect what's around it. So with a trap, do I even have any traps on this? Right. Not quite fitting ones. There we go. So like with a trap kind of like in scene, we're not gonna get appropriate reflections. And that's a little bit frustrating as an artist, but we can't do anything about that, right? We're not putting this into a 3D rendering engine. So by kind of like having a lot of noise and kind of like changing angles and all kinds of stuff, it can kind of flub the fact that it can't reflect things in scene, um, but still feel like it is reflecting stuff in scene. That's why it kind of is like very noisy, kind of swirly details. And then when it comes to metal carving and engraving, uh, scroll work, filigree, that kind of stuff is very like just classic and traditional. And I'm also doing a bit of studying on that in like my free time for doing actual metal engraving. So I kind of wanted to like play in that space and bring that into the game because I'm kind of studying a bit of it to be able to do that on axe heads and cool stuff like that. So uh, figured why not bring it into the Nanian universe. Okay, so that's why it's like leaves and what is it? Like acanthe or something is the plant name. Uh, but yeah, so it's not like a living garden specific or anything with the vegetation isn't symbolic of anything directly. It's more just kind of like a design that a lot of metalwork has had over many years. So I just kind of thought it'd be fun to bring it into this material. Uh, yeah, thank you. Glad you like it. All right, so what we could do is carve out the background here between them. And I think that could look extra cool. So we can leave these carvings as is and not kind of like go all extra elaborate on them. And then just kind of paint this material into scene. So like get at least the base reflecting into it and the colors being tweaked a little and kind of like cleaning up all these crunchy bits. I think I like this potential here. So again, like, sorry today is less of a, all right, give me some good ideas and let's draw them day. But we did kind of want to like show you a little sneak peek of things to come. And also this was a kind of like challenging concept to solve. So naturally getting to do it in front of a live audience is the best way to kind of like make sure uh, we commit to potentially the worst direction and not be able to go back. No, this is great. I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. All right, so if I blast this whole line here, and then I can kind of paint back in what I want to keep. Same thing here. Okay, but then we'll fill in where we want overlapping and kind of connecting these elements. Yeah, I think that works. I think I'll round that off. And then I'll just erase all that stuff behind here. What do I have going on in the middle of that? Okay, I see. Something kind of like that. I'm like trying to do the mirror of that, but some of it's not exactly mirrored. I think it's something kind of like that, maybe. Then that little bit comes out at the top. And that's about right. So if we got the cannon storm here, I wonder what else. Wonder what else we could end up with. Curious. Cannonball smashing to fit the theme. That'd be cool. All right, so I kind of like that delicate connecting elements here. Um, so I'll kind of clean up the kind of little bits where everything's connecting, kind of render it in place a bit better. Because obviously this was painted without uh, the Cannon Storm connecting to it. And then for this one, how do I want to do that? I kind of like the same idea where there's like the background is cut out and revealed through it like that. Then do we do this whole craziness maybe? Maybe. Again, we have plenty on the top to reveal what's underneath. Let's want to paint in more of a gap between all the leaves and stuff. So let's do that. Ooh, I kind of like that hook at the top too. Let's bring that in. Yeah, I think as long as I have stuff poking through. Again, I'll need to look at some other pieces of the puzzle, if you will, to check if it's gonna kind of like be too much for all of them. That one's gonna be its own thing. Same with that. That should work. That, yeah, I think that'll get away with it. That might be its own thing. And yeah, okay. I think this will work. Cool. All right. So just kind of painting in and erasing. It's actually just masking. I'm not like erasing anything. Um, that doesn't seem too bad to me. Okay, and then we can erase all this stuff in the middle of these. Okay. Is it too delicate with it like this? Yeah. Max Ross got it. It's tinfoil. Secret revealed. Tinfoil wrapped bases. Mm. Interesting theory, Mighty Duck. All right. I don't know. I kind of maybe I'm gonna maybe I should have like duplicated this. Um, I don't know, I kind of did like a version with the corners. And then a little less in the middle. Like, I should have made multiple versions of this so that I could kind of like bounce it off of you and kind of get a, oh, I like this one, A or B kind of idea. All right, so back to more of the cell phone charger phone case kind of look with that. And then more kind of delicate trim, if you will. I mean, maybe if we do this one, we like bring in more connecting elements. And we can always create our own, like draw our own filigree onto it. There's no reason we can't do that. I've just been kind of working with something that does exist. Yes, yeah, not easy to make IRL. First you gotta like find a droid mid-cannon shot and freeze that into amber instantly. So that's challenge 1. And then wrapping it in tinfoil. Challenge 2. A bed frame base. Okay, maybe it's more that here. And we remove the middle part. Maybe more like that. Like, do we just kind of do the whole filigree and then just like skip the gaps? Maybe. Like that does look pretty cool. So many decisions to make around this. Okay. I am kind of liking where this is going. Let's zoom out a bit. So it's filling in more of the material, right? We're losing a little more of the kind of medium. So that might be a problem. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely like alter the OG base there too. Maybe we sub in someone else for Nick. Let him get back to the tundra. So we could do that. And like it definitely fills in a lot of the base, but I think there's still enough revealed that like at a glance you're going to be fine to understand what the base is. And again, that's an important thing that I think we need for these. Now it's a little kind of like lace material with it, kind of like it's almost like a doily. Like, is there too much kind of this? Like, is the balance feeling off because of that? I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. The tinfoil should be visible through the back of it, and that's something that once I decide on kind of the final pattern, the final wrap, I would actually go in and I'd paint kind of the backing of that, and we could also tweak the the base itself, right? So there's like repaints elements that we will be doing with this. But right now, I just kind of need to decide on like, well, what kind of level of detail do we want to go with? Like the cutout stuff's cool, but at the same time, I want it to feel balanced. You know, like there was like an early version where it was pretty simple feeling. More like that, maybe. The USB-C style. Like there's something also about it being kind of like solid and kind of framing it versus this kind of, I don't know, like that's good too. We can also completely change the actual like detail design. Like it doesn't need to be this scroll work exactly. It could be like any kind of, carving or pattern or whatnot that we want to create. Um, I just kind of had this to use, so figured I'd try it out. It's like this middle bit is kind of feeling like it's missing something, so we can kind of put that in, try and balance it. Um, yeah, it could be like little dancing droids on the side if we want, why not? Yeah, fair. So I'm in agreement with that. Like keeping that element has some sensibility to it. How do you feel about like the balance of it? Is it like too heavy on this kind of like fanciness? Do we want to kind of go a little more kind of like it's encased in this way, or it's like just detailed? It's enhanced, right? Um, hmm. This is basically what my mind is doing when I'm working on art tasks. You just get the kind of verbal ramblings when you tune into this show of what I'm just thinking when I'm working on art. So it's a lot of me going in loops with myself. Okay, like the detailed version, but both are valid. Yeah. Again, I'm thinking of kind of like what the series might end up working with best, and it might even be somewhere in the middle. But detailed is good. Hmm. Depends on if other bases get the tinfoil treatment. Let's say other bases got the tinfoil treatment, just to theorize and like, you know, explore that kind of space just for funsies. Um, would we want them all to have the same kind of tinfoil treatment or like their own variations of that tinfoil treatment? I think in a lot of cases there might need to be kind of like, oh, well, that base has these different elements and we need to account for that. So I think that naturally it's going to need their own kind of tackled approach, but like, do we want to have a little bit of fancy on all of them, Own variations would be cooler, but obviously more work, for sure. But no, they, no matter what, would need their own kind of variations. So, yeah, okay. I think I agree with a point Norm made about it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, Norm. Um, for multiple kind of valid reasons, I would say that's definitely a good angle for it. Yeah, it is hard to say at this moment because can't kind of like do it all at once and show it. Um, yeah, I'm just thinking of other artists and all that good stuff. Okay, all right. So yeah, that one's gonna be great. Cool. All right. Okay. You know what? Yeah, there's a couple of things about it. They'll need to kind of like be treated in their own styling. Not an issue though. I think we can still kind of like pass on to them, you know, other theoretical bases that totally might exist. Those will kind of like naturally get their own treatment, but in the same kind of styling, just kind of a different approach. But I'm pretty sure I think I understand how that would work. And I think if we kind of like take a snip of this, we definitely can kind of like get a good feel of like, okay, what is this one? You know, I'm not gonna get confused by a whole bunch of tinfoil wrappings and feel like they're all the exact same thing. Uh, yeah, okay. So I'm thinking something in this realm, and maybe we like lighten up or add more in some areas to just kind of like create a little bit of visual balance. Like I kind of put that little middle dot. I kind of like the corners revealed, but at the same time, there's something about these like heavier encased corners that felt pretty good too. Do we like the enclosed corners? Maybe with like extra viewing goodness, little gaps everywhere. Um, or do we prefer kind of a sandwich bread kind of style where the sides are open and exposed? Rounded corners, sharp corners. Probably rounded just because of all the kind of design elements being so rounded. Or at least a gentle corner. Not like USB-C round, but not sharp. Tinfoil ball and chain cat toy trap skin one. That's actually pretty genius. I like it. Liking the corners. Yeah, I'm thinking that too. It does feel more balanced with the kind of like added. It feels more kind of like solidly a thing. Whereas this feels like it's neat, but it doesn't feel as kind of like it feels more like a trim, if you will, which is fine. Like that's kind of the idea in a way, maybe. Um, but it's more like a lace trim or something, whereas this feels more like strong and enhanced. Like it feels more powerful to me. So yeah. Yeah, having these little kind of like windows works pretty nice, I think, with the rounded. So we can kind of give it a little bit of a gentle, the peekaboo corners. Yeah, I think I like this. It feels more balanced too. Even though it's like busy in a way, it does feel more correct, especially with like how I had to kind of tackle the top, having it kind of get all the corners. It kind of makes sense. So I like that. Okay. Do we feel like it's too noisy? with all the kind of scroll work. Like we could kind of like reduce it down a little bit if we wanted to try and simplify it. Um, because it's like heavy details. But I don't know, kind of it's growing on me personally. Hmm. Either, yeah, either works. Yeah, like all the details looks fancy and valuable. That's true. Yeah, I think I was just kind of feeling like it wasn't quite balanced, but the more I kind of poke at it, I think I'm getting closer to it feeling balanced in a way that I'm happy with. All right. I think this is actually the way. This might be it. So I'm going to fill that reflection in there. And then we're going to paint over this. A little too floaty on the center dots. Okay. Yeah, with the background showing through like this scroll work isn't too busy. Excellent. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. And I think when I paint these together, right now they're not painted into each other. It's going to kind of like feel even more natural. So that'll be a good thing too. Because there's just kind of pieces of it that make it a little busier than it needs to be in the end. So we'll fix that. So I'm feeling pretty confident about it. And yeah, like actually, so there's when I was doing a lot of kind of research and looking for inspiration for kind of like fancy metalwork stuff, there's a lot of sword guards from like Japan, like from hundreds of years ago, where these what are they called? Okay, I don't remember the Japanese word for it, but the actual kind of like sword guard on the katanas and stuff, they have these elaborate like cutouts of the metal, kind of similar to like this kind of idea. And so I think it's such a fun and cool design idea to just have all this like detail cut out, um, that I'm excited to actually kind of implement that idea into some artwork here because I think it's pretty cool. Speaking of swords, did you ever finish my carving of mine? I've done like axe carvings, plenty of them at this point. Um, and I'm going to be repairing a hilt on a sword, but I have not carved any swords, other than like a prop sword I made for uh, my nephew for like uh, the cottage adventures that we run, where like the kids all get like crazy adventure props that I make for them because I'm crazy like that. But yeah, basically it was like a wind sword carved out of foam that kind of has this kind of look to it in a way. So yeah, I did that last year. Might be a bit of a pain to pick up, to pull up some images. So I don't think I'll do that, especially since a lot of them are pictures of my niece and nephew kind of wielding them as opposed to me thinking of taking just prop pictures. So fortunately, I don't think I can share that. Um, yeah, carved door handles. Like there's a huge kind of period of time that this aesthetic kind of wrapped a lot of fancy stuff. Even like gates and ironwork like that can sometimes get this crazy filigree. All right. All right, so we're gonna do a kind of layer on top of this, and we can do a bit of cleanup here, where we can kind of paint over these dings and nicks and kind of come up with our own skin on the top of this, basically. So I'm not, like, I don't feel like I need to get rid of all the dings and nicks, but the ones that do exist are maybe a little bit distracting for where they are. Like this one here, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Maybe these two work, even these front ones, but maybe I'll kind of reduce it. There's just less surface area to have those busy details. So I think I'm gonna lower those. There's already enough going on, right? Okay, and then we can also kind of go in and like take this amber color and kind of like fill in these kind of, deep shadows with more of that kind of amber color to kind of like combine these together into something that feels a little more natural. Because right now these are like the deep, occluded areas where the light isn't quite getting to, or it's reflecting in on itself and nothing else is there. But with this base, we have this kind of like internally glowing material where like light is going in, scattering around and bouncing out. So we no longer have like deep kind of texture shadows. We have a new light source and bounce light and all kinds of stuff. So having the tinfoil kind of get a lot of influence from that is going to look more natural for it, right? I almost kind of like the idea of, let's see if this would look any good. If I add a layer behind and I take like a nice deep tinfoil color, or sorry, amber color, and then I kind of paint it as if the tinfoil is like locked into the amber to some depth, that could look kind of cool. So instead of it just being like a micron thin coating on the surface, it's actually like inside of the base itself. So like that kind of integrates it for this material a little bit more, which could be nice. Can even have um, the light doing its own thing inside the material here, right? So that's kind of neat potential. Tinfoil melted into the amber or hammered. I think that it would probably actually be like, um, there's many plating techniques, but I actually like it being more kind of like a thick layer of it kind of embedded. Um, there's many inlay techniques. My favorite are where you actually carve out channels and then hammer it down into the surface. So I'm thinking hammered in because that's my style. I like the kind of like thick piece of, like, thick as in, it's actually like very thin compared to what would normally be considered thick, but like uh otherwise like it is just kind of like atoms thin kind of coatings and stuff. But no, this is like actual, you know, tinfoil wire and plate cut and shaped and hammered into recess and then carved to match. So that's where my brain's going with this. And then we'll also end up creating this kind of like background detail, fudge that in properly. And then we can like mask this away. Right, that kind of idea where it's painted behind. So that it'll be like fully three-dimensional, right? And then that will also be masked off here. But we can also kind of change out, what's going on with the character in here. Do we still want Nick to be there? Like it could just be an amber base with canon theme. Maybe it's a different droid because like Nick is a specific time of year character in my opinion, and this might not relate to that, you know. Um, so also I want this to feel more amber. So kind of saturating that more might help. Okay. Well, I think that's kind of the direction for that. We'll ease that up a bit more. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of like little kind of decisions about things that it's hard to know, right? Ultimately, a lot of the time, things just will be, pretty cool as is, whatever direction they decide to go in, and people enjoy it and like it. So I try not to worry too much about kind of like, oh, it has to be perfect and, figure out every single element to be exactly just right. Can be pretty hard to try and, make sure everything's exactly, oh, if it's not the perfect version of this, like, yeah, it's very easy to kind of like get a little too perfectionist on things. I know I'm guilty of it at times. So realizing that the player base is usually pretty cool with a lot of weird inconsistencies or, you know, things that don't always kind of land perfectly how I might want it, but they seem to think it's pretty great. So I appreciate the community we have. Okay, so just kind of trying to integrate the tin foil into the base, make it feel like they combine together material wise. So it feels a little more like it's almost like melting into the amber or embedded into the amber surface kind of thing. Um, like part of me actually wants it to kind of like almost like fall below the surface. Ooh, that hue shift might be okay. It's very silver right now. So like only the most surface part of it is exposed and burnished, perhaps. So it looks like it's kind of sunken into the amber a bit. Uh, maybe. Like just kind of hitting it with some amber color is just to kind of do a little bit of color harmony with the piece. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad that you find this pretty. Yeah, I think the front here isn't that bad. It's working all right. I think I might even try to clean up some of the noisiness. Because what's interesting is I was intentionally creating things to be quite noisy um, to help kind of balance traps on top of this shiny material. But I think with a little bit less of it revealed, right, there's more cut through windows. That actually makes it so that I don't need to worry as much about hiding the reflectiveness um, through noisiness, if you will. So I can kind of perhaps clean some of it up to be a little bit more calm and clean looking. And that should look pretty nice in the end. Okay, this top surface here. Can just kind of make that a little more uniform. And instead of a dark blue inner shadow, we'll go orange. Because that would make more sense. Can like keep a few of the dings and nicks, but can also just kind of like move where those are a bit. All right, so we are at 12:18. That means we have about another 40 minutes before it's my lunch break. So I'm thinking we might even be able to complete all the kind of detailing of this by that time. Maybe. No guarantees, but it's coming along pretty quickly. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for is making it feel nice and cohesive. So I'm glad you're seeing it like that too. Mm. Okay, so that one's the color harmony one. This is kind of the overpaint layer. I think the inside kind of on the shaded side, which is like this left side of the base, I like the idea of having kind of that amber kind of light the material up. So we'll go for like a nice, brighter kind of yellowy orange here. That looks like a nice kind of glow. So it's like the material has almost like this inner glow. And it's hitting the top surfaces of this. I also think I want to start by kind of embedding the material into the base a bit. And then I can hit it with that surface light. So like, because this is more the front side, the light is coming in and hitting it. I kind of like it being more in shadow. Whereas this side, it's starting in shadow. So like the light hitting internally the surfaces is going to look more kind of gem and internal glowy if I kind of add the highlight and glow to the shaded side versus the side that's in more of the light source. It sounds counterintuitive, but like the idea of the light going into a material and interacting with the structure inside is kind of what I'm getting at with this kind of like gem quality, the glowiness. Um, so if you want something to kind of like be kind of like juicy and have this kind of internal glow feel, you almost want to invert the concept of the shading, where instead of the highlight being on the top of a material where the sun is hitting it, for example, it would be on the inside bottom. Because it's like going through the material and bouncing off the inside of it out. And then, of course, it depends on what the material is, right? Like if you have like a high refraction index of something, the light is bending quite dramatically. Okay, so we've kind of embedded the material now, the tin foil, as it were. Um, and now, if I go in and start to kind of like give it highlight, that can look kind of cool, theoretically. And, you know, we don't want to go too crazy on it. Less is more a lot of the time. At least get it in kind of areas that are open and feel like it might be obvious for the light to get to it. All right. And then I think if I come in here and I do this kind of treatment here, where we have, instead of these deep occluded shadows, we have this kind of like inner glow coming through. That'll kind of like add some nice cohesiveness. Nice and like saturated color, because this is light that's bounced around inside this amber, and all the kind of wavelength that is not being absorbed is kind of like getting bounced around and almost saturating itself even more and more. So we're going to get like a very saturated color coming out. Okay. So that feels a little more cohesive now versus these like super harsh kind of, like, the contrast is cool looking, but I think this kind of like melted in kind of quality feels pretty nice. So we're going to go for that. So we kind of lose some of those deepest shadows. We might bring some back just to kind of make sure it keeps that metallic feel. Because again, it's going to be reflecting the environment around it. So stuff that's kind of pointed outward. We don't need to get quite this amber glow because it's less kind of like the light is kind of landing on it and affecting the surface. It's more what we're seeing reflected in the material from the angle we're viewing it at, technically, right? Because it's almost pure reflection as opposed to like Lambertian light. All right. But that also means that it gets very complex very quickly, so fudging the details is also quite all right. So when we come to this, there was kind of like a flower element that was kind of overlaid on top of that. So I'm going to kind of transform that into just a simple element. That's okay. I think that works. Same with this one here. There. That works a little better. Yeah. The sides look like it's not embedded in the amber since the metal covers some of the upper rim. I think that, yeah, like it's surface, like they're flush with each other. Um, so it's kind of like this is like there's a little trim routed out, and then the tinfoil is kind of like wrapped and sanded flush with the surface, we'll say. So technically, there could be like a reflection that goes over the surface of this, right? Like this kind of idea, and it'd kind of treat both of the surfaces very similarly. So you can see what I mean, where it now it feels like it's kind of flush. Maybe I'll keep something like that in here to help express that idea. Yeah. Otherwise, we could also have kind of like a little edge on it to kind of show that, you know, it's now fitted into the, the amber was curved and then this was socketed in, if you will. Which could also look cool. I guess a little bit extra detail-y, but not opposed to that. All right. Poor dog has a coughing fit. He had some anti-anxiety medication for a thunderstorm we had recently, and that kind of relaxed him a little too much, it would seem, where that night he was kind of like, his throat was so relaxed it caused him to like gag and choke a bit and cough, and that irritated his throat. Now he's just doing a lot of coughing and Feel very bad for him. Poor guy. Okay, I think I'm gonna bring the trim here in more. Feels a little too tight on the back. So then if I do this, it might feel a little better there. Oop. Oh, you're welcome. Rare map dust makes one of those nice little gifts. Everybody can use it, I feel. Okay, so then having kind of like a little bit of that. It's kind of nice. Might be a bit strong of a reflection, and the angle might be a bit weird, but kind of helps with the idea. You don't need to send me anything. Don't worry about it. Appreciate it, but all right. So let's keep combining the materials. All right. So going back into kind of like bringing these deep shadows and saturating them with some amber color as it has this like internal glow kind of coming forth. All right. That's blending in more and more, kind of becoming more cohesive. I like it. Yeah. Definitely tin, right? This is what this is. Makes perfect sense. What an exciting material. Who knew the tin tier would get here finally? Metal on the bottom of the side under the floating diamond looks a bit flimsy and too thin. Like down here, yeah. Compared to over here. I see what you're saying. A way to address that would actually get the reflection on the inside of this. If it will let me. I need to go brighter. Oh, because it's such low opacity, I see. And then this. Kind of return to that state and get a little bit of this kind of glow amber kind of edge to it. So that hopefully feels a little bit more sturdy now, but I agree, it looked a little thin there. Sweet. Okay. Oh, creaky. All right. We have 25 minutes-ish. Going well, going well. All right. So, how do we feel about the character themselves? Right? Do we want to keep this character embedded in this material? Closest corner feels a little thick. It could be. I did just kind of quickly add it in without really doing any kind of careful measuring or anything like that. So maybe add a little bit more thickness there. Just kind of be a little more careful with it. Also, I think I need to clean that up a bit. There we go. Keeping the characters is, yeah. Okay. That's a fair point, Norm. That's a fair point. Although I think some of the other ones are going to need their own kind of way of doing this, which, like, this exact kind of method might not work exactly the same for all of them. But most of them, it should work pretty well. Like, it's just the out of the ones I'm thinking of, this one's kind of a little unique in that regard, but I'm not opposed to it. Uh, yeah, some dimensions might not line up 100%. I mean, so the reality is, I created the base structure 18 years ago, and I can guarantee you that elements are not actually lining up because I'm basically working off improper measurements, but I am adhered to having to work within those just based on the way things layer together. But it's so subtle that like people have never really kind of noticed, and so it's not a problem. It's just something that I'm aware of, and when I try and do really fancy things that kind of like stretch and fold in perfect ways, things will never ever line up exactly. There'll always be a little bit of perspective kind of wonkiness, but that is just MouseHunt in its own way. There's pieces of it that kind of have that quality and forever will. So that's just how it be. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Maybe not being 100% accurate to reality. But if things were in this universe, then we'd be in trouble. All right, so yeah, exactly. The character is absolutely being stomped on by monster bots, all kinds of fun stuff. So it's a fun little kind of like detail that you rarely actually get to appreciate. So fair enough. I think keeping it's more fun. Like we could change the character because like Nick here has the beard action. It's like, do we want to let him blink for once or change out his beard for a mustache kind of idea? Like we have a moment where we could play in that space if we really had the desire to, you know, just putting it out there. That if we had inclinations to do as such, it is possible. Right? But we don't need to bother with that. That's just if we wanted to. Don't need to add, complication or anything like that. All right. Oh, there is definitely lore. Yeah, you betcha. So I guess one of the curiosities of this base is there is actually two states for it. A lot of people might not even know that about it. Do I even have them in here properly? So is that... Yeah, so there's kind of like the unpowered state, technically. So it shouldn't be too crazy to kind of like do both versions. But that's just something to be aware of. So let's see, a way to do this could be, I'm going to duplicate this. Did not mean to put it in there. Yeah, we don't need to do it. It honestly is not like an issue, but like it won't matter in the end so much. Just want to see if I can literally throw it behind this, if it would work. Boom, done. Easy peasy. Just need to, fix the beard and we got it. Yeah, it's not really noticeable, but it's that easy that I can just, even if the mustache changes, it's fine. Okay. I even actually like the kind of light going through and coming out a little more saturated and punchy. But most people will only ever see this version of it because, I mean, I believe you have to like be depleted of your amber to even have it happen this way. I think I might be mistaken about it, but it's something like that. So yeah, not too much of a reason to have both states, but it's easy enough to include. Monopoly Droid, give him the hat. Okay, so what would be next would be kind of like, okay, I feel like we're getting it nicely integrated. I think we can do a little more of this treatment here, but we're nearly done that. Pour wash. Hope that cough clears up. He's had it before and it like took 3 days or so. But like with the added summer heat, it's like not pleasant. All right. Okay. So we're 15 minutes from 1 o'clock. And I think based on how this is going, I'll wrap stream at that point. Because I think we've kind of explored it far enough and final polish and stuff I can kind of figure out. But there won't be a lot for me to kind of like, okay, let's dig in and figure this out together, team. I think we've kind of found the path, and now it's just kind of like pushing the details into that space. And, a little bit of a fun reveal about who knows what. Why are they wrapping things in tinfoil of all material, right? Definitely tinfoil. That looks tinfoily to me, right? Yeah. 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 Uh, so there. I will do a lot. Hmm. I like that idea, the tinfoil cat toy. It's pretty fun. Be on like maybe not even a chain, but on a string or like a spring. It's a cute idea. Okay, it's looking pretty decent. Got like a nice bright inner corner there. Can do a nice bright highlight in a couple of select places. Sweet. Okay, so then I think we want the kind of background fill here to be a little bit more cleaned up. So this is really, actually I'll do it on another layer. Okay, and then background there. Okay, I think I actually want to erase some of that. It's tricky. There's a lot going on to try and capture. Like, I guess I could duplicate and copy that shape over and then just do a fill. That would probably be the smartest way to do this, honestly. Right. Could do not that way. If I do this, and then I do this, This is probably a terrible way to make this work, but now I'm kind of curious if it will. A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's not quite right. Trash that. Okay. Ooh, maybe I can do this. Yeah. Try this. Did that work? I got the background cut out. So close. All right. That. Let me grab. Maybe if I deselect and just copy that, and bring it here. That seems better. All right. Get rid of this. Move this. Ah, it's the inversion again. Okay. Okay, let me make sure I grab the correct layer. Oh, I remember why. Right. So the way that I did the fancy filigree base is I actually painted the negative space, which is fine. So if I take this, grab that, invert the selection, like so, and then hide that layer, go into this, and then just paint what I want here. Deselect. And then erase everything I don't want. Boom. Okay, probably should have transformed this to where I need it to be first. That would make sense. Okay, so that's inside a bit more. Can probably shrink that down. Okay, let's try that. Then we're gonna erase away all this stuff. It's not perfect, but we'll go with it. Okay, and then there's a lot of cutout to do. All that's gone. So that's decent. And then I'm going to put that together. Can get rid of that layer, I think. Wait, do I want to? Yes, get rid of that layer. I'm gonna put this in a folder. Sorry, I'm in the Jacob rambles to himself stage of this process. I'm gonna add that mask. And this should be more blurry too. It's way too crisp for what's going on here, obviously. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna actually put this in its own folder. Boom, and boom. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And then now I'm going to duplicate this just in case I don't like the result. I'm gonna flatten that down. We're gonna combine the mask, apply mask to layer, and now I'm going to do a blur. So Gaussian blur. Okay, and now that feels a little better. We can mask it off again. And we can also hit the top edge of some of these elements to kind of highlight some of those bits. Make it look like it's kind of inside this material. The material is kind of glowing with gem-like kind of internal reflections. Great. That looks nice. Could probably use a softer brush for doing that work, but it's not bad. Okay. So that feels a little more like it's kind of got appropriate backing reflection now. Destroyed arm. I think I do need to make that a little more kind of stand on its own. Gets a little bit lost with that background. But at the same time, like it kind of makes a lot of sense that the details get a little bit muddled and lost in here. Right. Do I actually want to do it on a layer above just so I have full control? Okay, we have hit 1 o'clock. I'm just going to do final polish detail pass on things. Just kind of a little bit of cleanup. So there's the back that still wants that filigree detail. The inside here is kind of working. I need to blend things even further. Maybe kind of play with this character just a smidge to not make it too intensely. You know, he's a subtle character, and right now I think I got him going a little too strong. So maybe we kind of fix that. But I think in terms of the stream, we're probably going to wrap it here. Just because it's getting really finicky, finessey details where not a lot is happening. And I don't have too much more to say about this piece that I can get into, I think. So I should probably save this for the first time. I also, unfortunately, did not time lapse this one, so I do not have that to give. But let's see. Do I have a Larry link today? I check. I think I might need to make one real quick. What we got? Uh-oh. Site can't be reached. I got some kind of local host error. Um, Norm, if you're still around, do you think you could cook up a Larry link real quick? Right, I need to do it on the other computer that I have the environment set up in. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Plus, you might have a good idea of what would be a good Larry link for this. All right, so that's basically going to be it, other than the Larry link coming down the pipeline. Hopefully, you enjoyed. It was a bit of an interesting, kind of different style of drawing today. It was actually kind of more blending illustrations that I've worked on together. Um, and kind of mixing elements in a fun way. So I like where we ended up with this. I think it's pretty fun, and I really had no idea where we were going to land coming into this today. All right, there's our Larry link. Thank you very much, Norm. Uh, Make sure it's a bunch of delicious ribs. Ooh, okay. Got 10 Corsair cards. Interesting. Wonder what that's about. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for today. And next week, I believe, is going to be Dave, maybe Norm. I'm not sure. I think you guys have some stuff to talk about, though, I imagine. But if not, I guess you'll see me again. Uh, but yeah, I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being a part of this process. I always very much appreciate your contributions and just hanging out, being a part of it. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with this weird tinfoil wrapped base. Perhaps you can theorize with the community and see what shakes out. And yeah, keep your eyes on the skies. Think something's happening. But until I see you next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and yeah, happy hunting, everyone. I'll catch you later. Bye for now. Bye.